All right, hot take. If you're vibe coding an MVP and calling it a startup, you're probably just building an expensive demo for your own ego. Because here's the painful truth. Most founders fall in love with the idea, hide from customers, and then act shocked when nobody clicks buy. Your product is not your baby, it's a bet, and the market is a ruthless judge. Mike Vitez is a machine learning trained builder and co-founder of Saturnia Design. And his whole thing is this: execution is 99%. Ideas are 1%. He shows up when founders are stuck in the messy middle. You've got a scrappy MVP, maybe some users, maybe chaos, and now it's outgrowing your ability to duct tape it. And here's the founder cheat code you can steal today. Instead of burning 6 months building from scratch, run a third-party truth audit. Have someone else interview users, watch them struggle, extract patterns, and hand you the brutal, prioritized action list. Not features you feel proud of, bottlenecks that are literally blocking revenue. Because asking customers yourself can feel like getting punched in the identity. You hear what's broken, you feel exposed, you want to defend it. A neutral outsider gets the honest truth without the emotional landmines. So here's the question that should mess with you a little. Are you building what people will pay for, or what makes you feel like a founder? Welcome to AI for Founders. I'm Ryan Estes. If you're a founder with an MVP, a no-code product, or a half-working tool that's getting traction but not conversion, you're about to learn how real product teams validate, prioritize, and scale without lighting your runway on fire. Want more ideas that punch above their weight? Get the AI for Founders newsletter at aiforfounders.co. It's where we turn messy founder problems into clean, unfair advantages. If your brain likes big leverage and fast learning, you'll feel right at home. And if you get value from this kind of thinking, leave a quick podcast review. Think of it like tipping the algorithm so it keeps feeding founders. Now, founders, if your product is solid but your pipeline is not, you don't need another tweak, you need distribution. Kitcaster helps founders get booked on the exact podcast their buyers already trust. Not random shows, not vanity, real audiences, real decision makers. And here's what changes when you're a guest instead of an ad. You get to tell your story with emotion. You build trust in minutes, not months. You create demand while you sleep because podcasts compound. Kitcaster is the system. We find the right shows, pitch you, book you, prep you, and help you sound like the smartest person in the room without being weird about it. And the best part, every interview becomes content for your newsletter, LinkedIn, sales team, and retargeting. One conversation turns into an entire marketing engine. If you're a serious founder and you're tired of shouting into the void, go get booked. Kitcaster makes you the one people remember. That's kitcaster.com by Moburst. Mike, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me. Happy to be here, Ryan.
Absolutely my pleasure. Now, I'm really excited to talk to you because you're in product development and you're very interested in business outcomes for people that have ideas. Now, we talk a lot about ideas on this podcast, largely because this is the new era of the ideas person. You know, there's never been a better time when you can create an MVP and bring something to market and see if you can get traction than the tools that are at your disposal now. I think there's a missing bridge, which is like, I've got an MVP, I've got a vibe coded tool that has customers, but it's starting to get out of my abilities and capabilities. I need to go find someone to like make this legitimate and help me. And it sounds like you're that guy. So Mike, please give us kind of an overview of kind of your business and kind of how your career's gone so far.
Right. Okay. So let's start from the beginning. I graduated originally as a computer scientist, and I was specialized to machine learning algorithms. So as they call it today, AI. Basically, I wrote my thesis around that. So I was really deep into the topic. I was doing big data algorithms. I wrote my own big data algorithms and clustering algorithms back in the days before these NLPs and AIs were coming out. And I started my first software development company when I was graduating at university, which I have turned to this product development company later. And basically what we have seen in the market in the last 10 years, that software development was a thing 10 years ago because that was the time when frameworks were just rising. Most of the people were native coding. Everything was new, like mentioning something, okay, that we can use a JavaScript framework, and everyone was wow, or we can use a Docker, and everyone was wow, okay, that's a thing. So it was very innovative space, and it was very great to be in the space. But times changed, and we saw that we need to, and also working with the client, not just time change, but we saw working with the clients that we should focus on the business goals instead just on the software goals. And we made a lot of connections and a lot of experience around UX and UI development. And that's how Saturnia Design, the company which I am a co-founder born. And that's what we are doing today. And how we work with clients is we become as an external party of theirs. Typically, there are two typical kind of funders that we are working with. The first ones, as you said, very typical. They have kind of an MVP or they have a product line that they are developing and they want to extend it. Or the second one, that they have A business line and they want to do B and they don't have the in-house capacity. So there's a bridge, as you said, between the phase that, okay, you can scale up your internal team and hire more people, which not necessarily only means that you have to hire software developers, because you have to hire UX specialists, market research specialists, designers, marketers, business developers, so a bunch of stuff, and you don't have the cash. And that's how we come to the picture, because we say that, okay, guys, let's say you have a specification. A specification, it can be one line. For example, we had a client last year. I tell you what was the full specification. We need a launch pad, and it's over. So basically, they had a one sentence specification, and we said, that's absolutely fine, guys, because we can understand your product. We can do workshops with you. So we had 3 months of workshops that we've been doing with them together, how to build up their product, which was understanding their market, understanding their competitors, understanding their personas they are aiming for as a B2C/B2B company, then creating theses that they can revalidate on the market. So it's always an iterative process. And after we have made these decisions together with the stakeholder and the management team, we could say that, okay, now we'll start wireframing. But then we have a solid base that we want to know first, what is the best business line to have the most ROI on the shortest time period, and what are the things that people want to use, and we can start testing it out, or even in the idea stage. Let's say you have this MVP. Okay, that's fine. And you say that, okay, I've got ABC kind of people coming to my table from randomly, but let's say you are measuring it, but you are not filtering it. You are not doing anything with the data. That's where we can also come into the picture. We can see that, okay, and then we can speed up the workshop process. We can see that, okay, let's understand your users' needs. What is the functions that you are users are using the most. So focus on these, because these are the ones that making your business. And then let's say that these are the top priorities. Make it the most efficient, the most fancy way. Make the most usable. Focus on that. That's where we start the wireframing, the designing part. And then if there is a need, we can code it as well. It depends, because there are clients who says that, okay, after this point, they will do the development part, because let's say it's 30% of the whole process after this, because they have all the materials that they need to develop it. So basically they say that they have the inside coders, but they have the concepts to do that. But in most of the cases, they say that, okay, guys, we would like you to stay and to develop it. And that's also fine. And also what we can add to the table, and it's very typical that if we get in a close partnership, we try to be proactive and bring as much value as possible, so to say. Very typical that the client comes up with an idea during a meeting that, okay, I need access to A, B, C, D kind of people, like in the industry or outside the industry. They need network. And we can say that, of course, we know your product, we trust you, we know who you are because you are validated by us. So we are happy to bring in our network. And if we can make a connection, that's a win-win situation, because every party will have something that doesn't have right now.
This episode is brought to you by MoBurst. the AI-first growth engine trusted by iconic startups like Calm, Robinhood, Reddit, Uber, and Google. Moburst is a digital full-service mobile-first marketing agency that helps companies to scale and become category leaders. Whether you're finding product-market fit or ready to accelerate growth, Moburst delivers creative, data-driven solutions that help with scale and efficiency and impact. At Moburst, we're not just guessing what works, we're predicting it. As an AI-first agency, Moburst uses cutting-edge tools to analyze user behavior, adapt creative in real time, and uncover hidden growth opportunities. The result, marketing that's faster, smarter, and built to convert. From early-stage startups to global brands, we've helped hundreds of companies overcome complex challenges, unlock new audiences, and optimize every metric that matters. At Moburst, we believe that creative thinking, advanced technology, and data are the core drivers of success at scale. If you're serious about scaling your business with precision and purpose, it's time to talk to Moburst. Visit moburst.com and let's build something category-defining together. Hey everybody, you know what's crazy? I've been sitting on a gold mine this entire time and I didn't even know it. My Gmail inbox, literally thousands of warm contacts who already know and trust me. But here's the problem every founder faces. How do you turn those relationships into revenue without feeling like a sleazy salesperson? That's exactly why I've been using warmstart.ai. And honestly, it's been a game changer for my business. This AI platform connects your email, analyzes all your existing contacts, and helps you identify who in your network might actually be interested in what you're doing. Then it writes personalized outreach messages that don't sound robotic or pushy. The best part, you review every single message before it goes out. No spray and pray nonsense. This is relationship-based selling done right. My listeners know I only recommend tools I actually use, and Warmstart has literally helped me reconnect with people I'd lost touch with and turn those conversations into real business opportunities. If you're a founder struggling with outreach, check out warmstart.ai and use code AIFF to get $50 off your first month. Trust me, your existing network is worth way more than you think. Amazing. So it sounds like you're kind of instrumental in the validation phase where, founders will come to you, they have an idea, maybe they have drafted a little bit, but really you're kind of connecting the dots as far as like, well, let's ask customers what they want and if they want it. What are maybe some misconceptions that founders have when they're making the assumption? I mean, as founders, we get obsessed and really excited by our ideas. I think a dangerous thing to do is stick your head in the sand and just build it alone. Like, the classic, like, I don't want anybody to steal it. I don't, you hold on to your ideas like they're precious. How do you kind of navigate around working with founders to say like, hey, let's get some feedback from the actual customers it's serving?
First of all, we are brutally honest, and it works because we say that idea is one thing, but execution is the 99%. That's factual, and that's, so to say, what everyone can experience from the market. So it's easy to be validated. Second, that what they are afraid of, that they don't see the framework how to validate their products and how they won't get in the trap of spending a lot of money on something that won't have an ROI. So basically, we give a solid framework that, we say that, we give you a timeline with exact deliverables. I give you an example. I say that, in the next 1 or 2 months, we will have X amount of interviews with people who are coming from the industry. Of course, we will have some kind of sense in if you have, but there were causes where they didn't have sense also about their target industry. That's also a tricky part. But let's say you have a kind of a feeling about, at least a feeling, if not factual, if it's not factual about your personas who you are targeting for. And let's say that, we can start with them. So we can get interview participants, we can guide through them, your product, we can ask the right questions, and we can evaluate the outcomes. And from this, you will have an audit, and we can say that, this is where you are right now, and these are the things that are the top priorities and needs to be developed. This is what we call a user experience audit. And there are, if you want a tiny one, this is a consulting, that's a shorter one, and an audit is a bigger one. I give you a good example. We had recently, a few months ago, we've been working with Subscan. I think Subscan is very known in the space. It's the Polkadot backed scanner system, and basically we get a chance to make a UX consulting project for them. And it was very interesting during these interviews that they have a huge, robust, and a very professional technical system, but it's very hard to use, and they are aware of it. And our role was to find out that what are the biggest pain points of their users. So when they are redesigning, they can focus on these elements, and all of the elements they can take away for a bit, which are less important. So in that case, basically, we help them to navigate through the system to see how they can, as I said, have the most ROI on the shortest time. And on the other hand, I think in this industry and in this phase of startups, a lot of things are based on chemistry. So if there's a human level connection, it helps. Or I would say, but let's say, I'm not saying it's mandatory, but it helps a lot that if the parties can trust each other, and we also put time and effort to build up trust between the funders and us. So we don't mind if we need to speak 1+ hour or 2+ hours on that. We are also doing roasting sessions. So we've been invited to roast projects as mentors. It's a very, very good thing to do. By the way, we are learning a lot also from the feedbacks from these roastings. For example, one of the roastings, they give us 15 projects or participating, which is a lot. And we had to evaluate every one live. Of course, we had the materials before, so we had the chance to get through it but they could listen to each other and they can learn from each other, and we could highlight the pain points and the weaknesses of their platforms. And I think it was very, very valuable.
Yeah, amazing. User experience is crucial, because everyone's in the conversion game. What are some common mistakes that you see founders making with user experience?
They are not asking their users. This is the biggest mistake.
Yeah.
So most of the founders have a thesis about what is the problem, but 99% of the time, the problem is not what the founder thinks is the problem. And in a lot of cases, not even close. So so most of the people have a very good sense of feeling. The founders have a very good sense of feeling about the industry, about the timing, about what the product in broad terms should look like, and that's good. That's why they are founders. But when you want someone to click on the buy button, which is basically your end goal, you have to understand the right motivation. What is the exact problem that you will solve your users for? And it's very easy to get this information out from the user. You just have to ask. Of course, You have to be brave. It's easier if you have the framework, and easier if you have the partner who have the experience for that and the curiosity and stuff, because a lot of people, and I can absolutely understand this, that they are afraid, they are shy, they don't want to do that, or they don't have the capacity, or they don't know how to do that. So that's absolutely understandable. So I think that funders I always understand funders. Absolutely. So I'm not blaming anyone in the industry. I'm saying that that's right, because funders should do that. Funders should hustle, dream, vision. That's good. That's why they are funders. But on the other hand, it's a low level, so to say, professional work that we love to do, and we love to help. But this is the other side of looking mirror, and most of the people want to do the same thing under one head, and it's very, very rare that they can do it, even in the team, because they are also blindsided.
Yeah, it seems like there's pluses and minuses of kind of talking directly to your customers. Of course, founders got to do it. Now, on the downside, people, if they're talking to the founder, they might kind of nerf their response a little bit and be a little bit more tender and nice because they're like, oh, they don't want to hurt your feelings. Now, on the founder side, like they're going to know all the bugs. They're going to know all the objections. They're going to be maybe they're embarrassed. It's not as far along as I want, or I know that. I keep hearing the same thing. It's emotionally taxing to look at the mirror, but it's also crucially important. So it seems like a good reason to use the kind of a third party service to employ you guys to go out there and do this feedback is because you can really get the truth from people of like really what they like, really what they don't like. And you can kind of take the gloves off and present it to, the CEO founders, the kind of startup team and say like, hey man, here's the honest truth of what people are thinking, so maybe it saves the founder a little bit of embarrassment, but also like then they do have to confront the issues and maybe they get all those issues rooted out because ultimately, man, the ones that haunt you is the one you don't find out about, right? It's like if
Yes.
something's on the table, you can work with it. If it can be measured, it can be managed. So it's a
Yes.
matter of finding the measurements where you can.
Absolutely. You are more than 100% right. And also, I'm a multiple funder as well by myself. So I didn't passion in my career path, but it's important, I think, to mention on this point that I was on all of the side of this looking mirror. I was an investor, a product developer, and also a funder multiple times. So I know what it feels like when they are criticizing your product. It really hurts. Like I know this feeling that I think that, okay, this is my child. She is super beautiful. And someone comes to you and say, oh, your child is ugly. Man, what are you talking about? And you feel hurt. So that's absolutely normal. So you are super right. And having a third party, independent party who can be objective and doesn't care about the feelings, so to say, yes, it helps a lot and makes things tractionable and measurable. Yes.
Yeah. So you gather the validation, you gather the feedback. How's that then presented to kind of take actionable steps? What would the team then do next?
In these audits, we cover basically two parts. The first, the whole we create a text that is about what we have gathered out or for as an information. So basically, you get as a thesis. You can read it. Then you have action lists. So we attach action lists to every part of our theses we have found out. So basically, if somebody, let's say you are a stakeholder and then there's a product developer in your company, let's say the or someone who is responsible for or CTO, let's say there's the CTO and the CEO. So the CTO will review the document because she wants to understand that what is the core concept, what is the core base of our sayings, what are the factuals behind on the next steps we are saying. And then the CEO will only say as a good project manager that, okay, this is task A, B, C, D. And we are prioritizing it. So basically we are giving out them a list that these are the hot things that needs to be fixed because these are the major bottlenecks that is getting in your way to get more money. And these are the minor ones and less prioritized ones.
Incredible. I love it. Now, I know this is only a certain facet of kind of the work you do. And it sounds like, if I was building a house, you would be like the general contractor. So you come in,
Yeah.
you bring in the architecture, you're working on the architecture. And then once it's time to start to build out the house, you bring in different elements, different players and with different specializations. So when you're thinking about like kind of revamping a tool, or creating something from scratch, what's kind of the architecture that you're bringing to that and what different elements of the different team members are important contributors?
First of all, we try to see honestly what do they have already in house. And it's every project is different. So basically, we've been working, let's say, on the spectrum. On one way, at one point on the spectrum, they have nothing, just brainstorming materials and thoughts that they have discussed orally. And on the other hand, they have everything fully documented. So basically, between these two, we gather all the information they have. So we just say that everything that you have related to the product, related to your market, even the business plan, market plan, everything, just send it to us, because we need to understand where are you at right now. So we have to see a stable status quo first. And second, we need to understand that what are the things that you have already solved and we don't want to solve the same thing again. That's the first. The second, we can start based on that. So let's say if they don't have anything, that's not a problem. We have frameworks to go through. Basically, we can say that we are doing design thinking, but as strictly design thinking, we try to do design thinking with them. But every kind of, especially working with startups, every kind of these frameworks are working very good on paper. But when it comes to practice, you always have to shift depending on the results on the actual work with the funder. So to say, if I want to say something, iterative design thinking framework is the solid base what we are working on. Then we iterate as we see. For example, we start a process and we have an understanding that the funder have a deep understanding who their clients are. And on the third meeting, it turns out that they are clueless about their competitors. And it comes out because from the perspective that they say, yes, we understand their clients, you say, okay, that you should understand your competitors then. And it turns out that they don't understand their competitors and they just slightly understand their clients. And they said that they are our clients. And until we unfold these stages, we cannot say aggressively that, okay, guys, what you are saying is dumb, because it's not dumb. It's a status quo. So basically, we are going step by step. So there's no magic pill in that sense. I would say that in a best case scenario, what we have learned, if there is a written specification, like very narrow specification in a few pages, that helps. If there is a business plan, and of course, it depends if they are backed by VC, for example, or something, or for some reason they have made a business plan, that also helps. But it's not everything, but we can start with that. So what we see, what in their heads. But we had also clients, very interesting, who had fundraised a lot, like millions, spent a lot, had a core team, and hired us to do UX research. And after working a month or month and a half, it turned out that they have not just a client that they are targeting for, but not even a tangible product. But they came to us and they said that, okay, we have ABCD products and we have ABCD clients. And we said, okay, fine, let's work on this. And what are you hiring us for? To make the products better for the client that we know. Okay, this is our work. And we were doing nothing, just asking questions. Okay, how this product works. For example, very simple question. Please show me your product. Oh, this product is under development. Okay, not a problem. What will your product do? It might do that thing or that thing or that thing. Okay, guys, but then you don't have a product concept. You have ideas. Where are you going to develop your product? Which is not a problem, but sometimes people needs to be guided a little bit during this path to understand how they will. And I think you're right with the architecture example of yours, that they need to be guided through the path, and that's okay. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love talking to product developers like you, because you get this unique window, not only to the psychology of founders, but also to the kind of products that people are developing. And so you're going to have like a good, keen understanding of the marketplace, but also competitors and like what kind of where the puck is going, so to speak. So I'd love to kind of shift to the future and look at kind of where software development is going. Last year we saw so much talk about the future and what's possible. I think software engineers probably 5x, 10x their output capability. So it became to not so much what can we do, but what should we do? I feel like another kind of light bulb moment over the last year is seeing some of these like gigantic like enterprise players start to be threatened, because it looks like with the right structured data, you can start to chisel off some of the tools that have been offered by some of these giant enterprise solutions for a long time, but create kind of new opportunities and really kind of nailed it. So, that being said, where do you see this year product development is going?
Let's say I would use the word hope, what I hope for, because it's really hard to see it on this light speed market. But what I hope for, and what we are also catching up always with, that how can we automate the processes with AI when it comes to the actual software development part. So that's where we need to divide the two parts. I think the product development part, which is a human-to-human interaction, will be always there. So it's really hard. I don't think in the near future, or even in the very long future. So it needs AI needs if I am skeptic about that AIs can reach that point, that they have this kind of understanding about, because this also needs to gather feelings and a lot of other perspective, just the data, intuition and stuff. So I think it's a broader topic. So let's say to figure out the right product concept is something that will always need human, but the actual software development, so to say, coding part, is being done automatically in a very, very short period of time. And we are also working on it. So right now, where we are at is a kind of a middle stage, because there are a lot of players out, Webflow, Figma, Squarespace, etc. All of them, or Lovable, which is a new startup, for example, who are working on it, how to do these pages without coding. But still, there's a big difference between landing pages and full products. But the core idea is that you can prompt AI to do something. What I believe in, that when you design something for example, you design it in Figma, if you want to export it into a code and get it live without too much or very, very, or without any kind of engineering work, let's say very less engineering work that was needed a few years ago or even 2 years ago, is very achievable this year. So we are also working on this, not hiring, like we have very high-end engineers, but we don't want to have too much coders under them. We would rather use AI instead of the coders, because I think that the word, as I said, in the last 10 years, shifted a lot from having a lot of people who can code but cannot engineer, and this is the very there's a big difference between these two kind of people, because the people who can engineer, they are the architectures, as you said, and the coders are the ones who are putting the bricks in the house, and the bricks can be put automatically. So I think that this is the way where we are going, and in a lot of cases we tried and it works, that if you prompt the AI well, you can build simply websites very easily with them. And also, on the other hand, which is very important to mention, that we shouldn't forget that we shouldn't start reinventing the wheel, because there are a lot of already existing other technical solutions in the market apart from AI, which can be connected with AI very well. that helps a lot when it comes to product development. I'm talking about there are tons of open source engines out of the market, and when it comes how we work when it comes to software development, I always have a big consortium with my engineers to find out the best solution um, for the client, meaning that we don't want. I'm strictly against writing anything from scratch because I think in 2020-25 it's amateur. So I always say that guys get the engine that is the closest to it. Then start the automation processes, which is very important. But basically, I will add the thought about automation processes as well because I think that's also important. But get the engine and start working around it and customize it instead of coding it. And also, the automation part comes in that there are two, and also regarding to your question, there are two kind of things that this automation thing needs to be understood. I think this year a lot of people will understand what is the there are two kind of AIs on the commercial market we are talking about. The first is the automation AIs, that is basically trigger-based API integration, which has been on the market for 10, 15 years. So it's nothing new, but it's getting more commercialized. What is new is the natural language processing. And if you connect these three dots, basically the engine, the NLP, and the automation, then you are there. And I'm waiting for these things to be commercialized as soon as possible. And we are working also in-house to develop the right solutions. But it's, the commercial, when I talking about commercialization, it's not about selling it as a solution, but using as a solution in-house, because it can help lowering our costs, making our processes faster. But also on the other hand, it could be considered in, let's say, if I would need to take a bet, I think in a 2 to 4 years of time tops, rather 2 than 4, to commercialize it and start working it on an enterprise level. And that's where the big guys will come in, as you said.
Yeah. It's really interesting that you mentioned not building from scratch. And I think that's a really important parameter that founders should think about, which is, how can we piece this together, especially in the beginning, to get market validation before building from scratch? Because that is just so costly, and it takes so much time, even more importantly. So, for example, spoke to Kai recently, and he built a software that's doing 2 million ARR in like 2 years, all off Go High level. So like a no-code platform, and there's a bunch of them now. Or my buddies over at Woz that have basically augmented AI coding specifically for iOS and for Android markets. So what you can find now is like, okay, where do we want the application to live? Is it in Apple App Store? Is it, in a browser? Well, there's going to be certain things that you already know you're going to want. You're going to want to be able to log in with the email. You're going to want to have dashboards and reports. Like all these things are kind of canned at this point. And by having them already built in or pre-built, then it's just going to save you massive amounts of time and energy going in. Plus, if something is actually so novel that it would require you to build it from scratch, what makes you think you're the guy who should bring that out? Like a lot of what we're doing now is kind of like, reminds me of the Sharper image catalog, where it's like you got, let's say you got your stereo, but hey, we got to start stereo with a clock radio on top of it. Or, you want a robe? Of course you got a robe, but this one's monogrammed. Like you're looking for things that work and tweaking it just so that people, that makes the product more sticky. And then you can take advantage of that market share from somebody else, So I think that's really important, and actually maybe an unspoken parameter that I've put on myself, because I have gone the custom route and then it's a disaster trying to get anything changed. Whereas if you're using no code, low code, or any of the AI augmented tools, then you have a lot more options available for you.
Yes, that's right. And I would say that starting building immediately might be not the best way to do a product. So I would rather. There's a good saying on the market. I think you heard it, but I use it a lot. Fake it until you make it. And basically, that's what I always advise to our clients, that do the MVP should be really an MVP. But before an MVP, if you are doing it right and you want to save the most of your headaches and most of your time and money, you should start doing a good product concept that solves a real problem. And you can test it on a landing page or with just one function, or just asking it if you want to do it very low end. And when you see that, okay, what is the real path? What are the, if you see all the puzzle pieces that needs to be gathered to make a real product, then you will start finding the right solution that is already on the market as an engine, or you will find the pieces and you will start binding them together, and you will do a system integration work in this phase of the product development. Instead of what most of the people are doing, they say, okay, I got a great idea. I just roll out a no-code MVP to the market. I started marketing and we will see what will happen. And the guys that you brought as an example are the tip of the iceberg. They might be lucky. They might have a good market timing. A lot of things. Like I always used to say when I had my biggest startup funded, and when I exited from a few years ago, the same startup we did, we cannot do now. Why? Because the timing was super right. It was in the middle of the NFT metaverse boom. And we made an NFT-based metaverse. So the timing was super right. If we would make it 1 year before or 2 years after, nobody would give anything. And it was so easy to sell. Was the product good? Yeah, it was good. Was it the best? No, it wasn't the best. But it was good enough on a market which was super hyped. So don't forget that this is the time. But if you, this is the lucky strategy. But if you want to say, so to say, the cockroach strategy, which we most of the people needs to be cockroaches, and that's fine. Then you have to go through this way. That first you need to understand what is there a real problem that I'm solving? Yes, okay. But then I can ask them, okay, guys, is it a real problem? Yes, no. You go through the path, and when you see all, okay, and how would you, to go with your example, okay, how would you like to log in? I think I would use Google and Facebook. Okay, that's fine. Then you make a note that you will need these two. But you thought before that, okay, I need also Telegram login, and nobody said that they need a Telegram. And you integrated Telegram because you thought that people will need Telegram, and nobody needed Telegram. So you wasted time. And the people are saying that, why is the Telegram? Nobody's using it.
Totally. Yeah, I talked to one guy. He went through his whole product design with me, and I was like, "Dude, that's just Calendly, man. It's free. It already exists. It's perfect. Don't."
Yeah,
just go use that. I mean, it's a great idea.
Yes, yes, and it happens. And still, if you can say, and this is the hardest question when you say that, yeah, it's Calendly, and what is your USP? And my USP is that I am nice. So.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Mike, that's been awesome. We're about to go into the quantum round. Are you ready for the quantum round?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. So you obviously have you're very bullish about product development and business kind of business plans around product. How about a bear case? When do you tell founders they should not build products?
First of all, if I see that they have too ambitious, they are too ambitious and they are not realistic. That's very typical. For example, I had clients who came to me and they said, okay, that's where we are at right now, and we would like to close X amount of millions in funding in epsilon amount of months, which was unachievable. And they were repeating the same thing. Even we said that, guys, this won't work, but this will work. So we are not the this won't work guys. We are this won't work, but this will work guys. And if they stop listening to us, and I say, okay guys, if you know everything, then I think that spending money or someone who you are hiring to help, not echoing you, is not the best, because your problem is not that you want someone to help you, but someone to echo you. So that we cannot be paid for that. So that's the first. The second, when they want to build a very robust product from scratch and they are afraid to go to the market. So they say that, okay, we've got a 2 years product development timeline. 2 years is like, it's a lifetime in tech. So there's no such thing in 2 years. Especially now. So that's something that I said, okay, guys, this is unrealistic. You will die on the market. So just don't start it. Third is when I say that it's not gonna work, then when they don't want to put skin in the game. And that's when my investor mindset comes in the picture. When I was investing into products and they were saying that, okay, yeah, I was asking, okay, what are you bringing to the table? I'm bringing the idea. Okay, that's nice. And what else? My hard work. Okay, that's super nice. But what else? This is this is below the bare minimum. And a lot of the funders, I'm not saying most, but a lot of the funders have the misconception that if they have a idea which is not yet validated, they think that it's great, and they are putting hard work behind, then it will be succeed, won't make it. And we are also trying to filter out the people who are not serious, because it's just a waste of time for us as well. And also it will, if we go further and we are not honest in the very beginning, we will leave bad taste in mouth. That why we were discussing with them. It's better to stop on the first date or on the second date and say, okay, we don't have any chemistry. So there's the third kind of guy, and the fourth, if they are, and that's also very typical in the crypto space, especially. And also in the AI space as well. Let's say in these two edge industries, but in all of the tech, but in the Web3 and the AI space, very typical. If they are not aware of the jurisdictions, especially right now, because every part of the world is very divided. So I always ask, okay, what is your target market? Because if you want to develop something in the States, or let's say in North America, or if you want Europe, or if you want in Asia or Australia, these jurisdictions will make a lot of handcuffs on you, and you have to figure out the product around that. And even sometimes big players, and I'm surprised how big players don't care about that they should understand what the jurisdictions are. And a lot of people spending tons of millions of dollars fail on a market after this, because they say, oh, this is not going to work on this market. But we have worked on this market and we thought that it will work on this market. Just today, I had 2 different conversations in this topic about big players who are spending millions of, for example, marketing, and they would like to enter a specific country. And they say that we are big enough players for this country to just enter. And they don't know the local players, they don't know the local authorities, and they will fail. And this is also very, very, very important.
Yeah. Amazing. Let's go to the other side. If you were to develop a product solely for the chance or the opportunity to get to $1 million run rate as soon as possible, what product or category of product would you design for the market?
I think something related to health or medical problems. That's a very good topic. So I wouldn't say wellness, but mental well-being, or around that and around the topic healthcare. These are 2 topics that are absolutely rising. First. Second, there are a lot of Web3 problems that are unsolved and just seems to be solved. So, and I'm talking about very low-hanging fruits, like how to do an on-ramp, off-ramp solution with KYC in the one platform, where there are solutions for on-ramp and off-ramp, but when you want to integrate it, it's very hard with the user journey. So we made also concept for that to how can you do this together with login and creating as simple as much as we can do this, that you do it in the Web2 world. So something around authorization and data security, and also data recoverability in Web3. That's something that I will tap into also. And then the third one is education, which I think it's a booming topic in a lot of in a lot of in a lot of parts of this in industry, because the the educational I think the education platforms that are on the market right now are a bit behind themselves. They are trying to innovate, and I really respect that. And I can see that what the guys are doing with Duolingo, for example. I think that they have a very fun application. But speaking from myself, I'm trying to learn Spanish, but I couldn't do it with Duolingo. And I don't know if anybody could do it with Duolingo to learn a language from scratch, because it's a fun game, and I really love their commercials. It's super cool. So cheers to the marketing manager of Duolingo. But other product wise, I couldn't say that I could learn a language from it. And most of the video driven, yes, I'm listening, is it's like so Gen X and Gen Millennial, but the younger generations who have who are born and use TikTok and Instagram Reels, we learn somehow differently. So I think they don't have the attention span to spend that amount of time. So I think these topics, so education, healthcare, and mental well-being, and Web3 are the hot topics. I wouldn't say AI, because I think AI, and I might be unpopular with my opinion, but I think the AI thing, from in my personal opinion. So I'm underlining that this is my personal opinion, and I don't want to feel anybody to be offended, but it's really hard to innovate on the level which is not the big players game. So of course, I think consultancy is very much necessary. So basically, having people to use AI solutions, it's a top thing. So I was also thinking about knowing an agency around that, like, or just specializing something just to that topic, because I think there's big market need to advise how to use AI solutions on a daily basis, even from small to big companies. But creating AI products, it's a different ballgame. And I think just the big players have enough money for that. Of course, at the top of the iceberg, there are some examples, but if you see the charts, the success rate of these AI startups that born, and we are talking about 2 or 3 years born industry, so very, very baby born industry, are already falling. So what can we expect on a 5-year term or a 10-year term?
Yeah. I mean, it's a fair point. I mean, if you got $100 billion moat around your business, there's only a couple of them.
Yes.
Amazing. Mike, this has been fantastic. Now, I would be remiss if I ended the interview without talking about your amazing commitment to the environment. And we talked about, I know an organization that you support called AmazonWatch.org, but you've also built products around the space. So maybe you could talk a little bit about what are the challenges of NGOs, nonprofits, and charitable organizations that you'd like to see solved this year?
I think you are familiar with the word decentralized autonomous organization called DAO, which is, I think, a very good concept. It's basically, in my way of thinking, it's putting the thinking of democracy into the tech world and formalizing it in a legal way. And I think DAOs can be the baseline to find the right charity purposes locally. because I think where big NGOs are struggling, that it's very hard to find the people who need the money the most. Of course, if you say that, okay, we are giving out people who are starving, or for environment causes, or something like that, that sounds very good on a high level. But if you see locally, you could make a bigger impact if you could listen to the people who are living there, who could vote for these problems, who could decide around what the biggest problems are, and you can create a platform based on DAOs, where these autonomous working communities can contribute to each purposes. So maybe sometimes it's a bigger impact to fix a broken, let's say, water bridge than to start saving a whole continent. And I think if we start collecting these smaller issues, it will start or snowball, because if you start saving small communities' lives, then they can think more innovatively, and this innovational mindset will be influential for other communities as well, and it can be grow rapidly, and everybody will think, and then in the local community, that they have the responsibility to do it, and they will contribute it, instead of saying, yeah, someone will come and solve it, because you are committing yourself to the cause. And we started working out the platform a few years ago. We needed to stop it because we needed to shift our focus, but it was a great project, and I really hope that we can make it live sometime. It was called DAO Nation, and it was around this concept that people can actually vote, that in their local community, what are the biggest problems, and there's a big fundraising pool. So the fundraising would be the same, that is coming in a big pool, but how you allocate it, it's based on this cause. There's a scoring system, and who needs the money the most will get it, and it will be on a controlled way, because the DAO is also reflecting to itself. So I think I know. So for example, what Polkadot is trying to do in their DAO system with the full transparency, with the referendums, etc., is something like that, or at the grassroots. Not so the grassroots of Polkadot was this: that if we are full transparent and everybody can vote for it, then we will spend the money for the right causes. Similar direction and civil governance, what I'm thinking in.
Love that, man. That's a fantastic idea and a great name, DAO Nation. I do hope you pick it up. You know, I love talking about charitable organizations largely because so much of the online world is so negative. And every time I talk to folks like you, I realize like how much cool stuff is going on and how much good people are putting into the world, which is, I think, ultimately encouraging. It is definitely for me. It's like, you know, like, and I haven't heard of DAOs in some time. Like they were really hot for a while. It seems like after OpenAI kind of released ChatGPT, everybody jumped on that bandwagon. But I think there's so much opportunity with DAOs for sure. Maybe they can do some kind of like DAO/poly market. So all these like crazy gamblers could like somehow be donating the money to charitable organizations or something like that.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
You know, it'd probably work. Mike, this has been absolutely fantastic. What is the website where people can learn more about your work?
It's saturniadesign.com. And also, if they want to check a few publications of ours, they can find it on medium.com at Saturnia Design, because we are bi-weekly posting about our opinions, and also the events we are attending at and organizing. So we are trying to publish as much as we can, but most of the things are on the website, including our portfolio until 2024. We will refresh it soon with last year's portfolio as well.
Amazing. We'll link both. Again, that's Saturnia, Saturnia, pardon me,
Saturnia.
design.com.
Yeah.
Saturnia. And how about you, Mike, personally? What's the best place for people to connect with you online?
Telegram, basically. So I'm happy to connect with anyone. You can share my Telegram video group, and if they want to just casually catch up with me or on even on WhatsApp, both works. Telegram,
Amazing.
WhatsApp, they just can write me and said, "Hey, I'm coming from Ryan," so I will know that they're good fellas.
Yeah, I hope so. Don't let me down, people. Mike, thank you so much for the conversation. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me here.
Hey, founders, let me ask you this. Are you building with AI or getting left behind by it? If you're serious about scaling smarter, faster, and bolder, you need to check out aiforfounders.co. It's your go-to resource for cutting through the noise and actually using AI to grow your startup. Each week, AI for Founders drops a sharp, no-fluff newsletter, dives deep with expert guests on the podcast, and hosts monthly workshops where you can get your hands dirty with the real tools and strategies. Whether you're pre-seed or Series B and beyond, launching something new or just staying sharp, AI for Founders gives you the edge you need to win in 2025 and beyond. Hit aiforfounders.co to subscribe to the newsletter, tune into the podcast, and grab your spot in the next workshop. And it's all free. Build smarter, move faster, think bolder with AI for Founders. Now back to the show.